This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
So this is what they have resorted to. This is what the resistance is up to as Trump enters week 2. It's now been 7 full days. He's on day 8 of the most impactful first week a president has ever had. Just a blizzard of executive actions and orders and and trips and appearances and speeches and press conferences. And the Democrats are lost. The media, the Hollywood elites, they are just wandering aimlessly in the wilderness. It could be the most satisfying part of week 1. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. This is what Trump promised to do, and he's doing it, and they have no answers. So what are they doing? Well, they're weeping uncontrollably for the killers and rapists and gang members who are being deported as we speak. They are calling Elon Musk and the ICE agents who are doing God's work, they're calling them Nazis. They're complaining about the price of eggs. Why hasn't Donald Trump lowered the price of eggs in his first week? Yes, this is the strategy. This is the answer they have for Trump 2.0. They're looking for abuelas and maids and construction workers who are here illegally, and they're begging them to cry on camera about the cruelty of Trump's policy, which is supported by a vast majority of Americans. If you're just waking up, they are raiding cities across the country. Kristi Noem, the new head of DHS, actually went on a raid this morning in New York City. She's posting on social media. She got all dressed up. She's got her ICE vest on, and she's joining forces with ICE agents as they spread out across New York City and start rounding up gang members, killers. And the media wants you to know that kids in school are nervous. It's having a chilling effect, and they're begging Tom Homan and Kristi Noem to not go into schools or hospitals or on college campuses. As Tom Homan points out, that they would be the only law enforcement officers in the business of enforcing the law who aren't allowed to chase criminals who hide in schools. So if a janitor, if a gym teacher, if a principal is a wanted criminal, is a violent criminal, they want you to stay out of there. Just let them conduct business peacefully. Leave them alone. I can't decide which is my favorite reaction to the first week of Donald Trump. They really don't have any answers. They really don't know what to do. They really don't know where to go. You know why? Because Trump's actions, Trump's policies are really popular. Trump says it over and over again. We are the common sense party, the common sense administration, and this is common sense. After 4 years of an open border, where 10 to 15 million people strolled into our country, including criminals, gang members, drug dealers, fentanyl dealers, they're cleaning up the mess. And I can't get past one question. Why didn't we do this before? Why didn't Joe Biden, Kamala Harris protect Americans? Why did they allow this to happen? I think we know why. But Democrats have to look in the mirror and say, we supported a guy who wanted these people in the country, who allowed this to happen, who allowed Laken Riley and Rachel Marin and Jocelyn Nungry to be murdered. We allowed that. That was our policy. That was our strategy. And now Trump comes along and says, no more of that. No more innocent Americans murdered by illegal aliens. No more fentanyl just pouring in uncontrollably across the border. And what do Democrats do? Well, they cry and they look for, they're looking hard. They are trying so hard to find children, innocent children who are swept up in these raids. They haven't found one yet. They're still looking. They cannot wait. If you're CNN, if you're the New York Times, you have a job to do. It's get that first child on camera, get that first poor innocent little girl on video and lead with it every hour. Look what they're doing. They're sweeping up innocent children. No, actually, they're not. There hasn't been any children yet. There might be, there probably will be, but so far, it's just like Trump said, the worst of the worst. Before we get to Selena and Liz Warren, Liz is very upset. Eggs are still too expensive. She didn't care for 4 years, but 1 week into Trump, and she's blaming him. Here's the latest yesterday. 1,179 arrests by Tom Homan's troops, 853 detainers lodged. This is a remarkable number. In the Del Rio sector in Texas, in 2023, they averaged 4,000 illegal crossings per day. Yesterday, 60. 60. That is promises made, promises kept. Here's just a quick rundown. In New York, they caught a guy with ties to ISIS, where Kristi Noem is part of the team. In Denver, they busted a party full of Tren de Aragua gangbangers. Arrested a dozen, I think. In Chicago, they arrested a child molester from Thailand. In St. Paul, they busted an illegal alien wanted for kiddie porn. In Seattle, they busted an illegal alien wanted for rape of a child. In Denver, they caught a drug dealer with 130,000 fentanyl pills. This is in 1 day. This is what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the Democrats allowed to fester in our country. This is who they're putting on the planes and sending home, putting them in leg irons, putting them in shackles, and sending them the hell out of our country. Can any law-abiding American, can any taxpayer have any problem with that? No. The only ones who have a problem with that are on CNN or in the Senate, in the House, and they're Democrats. They don't like this. These are their people. The Republicans in the House are calling Democrat mayors who have flouted the law and allowed this to happen. They're calling them before Congress. Yes, Mayor Wu, Brandon Johnson, they're going to D.C. and they're going to be grilled, and they're not going to be asked about electric school buses. They're going to be asked why you allowed these people into our country, why you said you weren't going to cooperate with ICE, you were going to protect. They busted a guy in Boston the other day. This wasn't yesterday, the other day, a murderer from Honduras, I believe, who murdered a woman in front of her 5-year-old child. He spent 17 years in jail. He was supposed to serve a life sentence. They set him free. They gave to the objections of just about everyone. They set him free, and Tom Homan and his people snapped him up, and they're sending him home. That is who Democrats are protecting. That is who Selena Gomez is crying over. This was an amazing video. This is a singer, I guess, an actress. She's in that new movie that's nominated, has 13 Oscar nominations about a transgender cartel leader. Sounds like just an awful movie. Probably win Best Picture because that's one of the criteria for Best Picture. It has to be truly historically awful. And apparently this is as bad as Everywhere All at Once and Shape of Water and Moonlight. Only the worst pictures win Best Picture. That's the rule. But here is Selena Gomez, a billionaire. She's 32 years old. She's worth $1.3 billion, sitting in one of her 4 mansions, weeping because guys who molested children, who murdered innocent Americans, who filled communities with fentanyl, are being arrested, detained, and deported. That really upsets Selena Gomez. Here she is in a video she posted and then took down. But man, This thing went viral, and this tells you all you need to know. They are crying because Donald Trump and Tom Homan are removing the worst people in the world, protecting innocent Americans, and she can't handle it. Watch this.
I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. So many people are getting attacked. The children. I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
Sorry to whom? She says she wants to protect her people. She's a third-generation American. She's part Mexican from on her father's side. Her father wasn't around. She's half Italian, and she's an American. Who are her people? Who exactly are your people, Selena Gomez? This person is just so lost. I don't know if it's Hollywood or the music industry or the school system, but someone has just broken this poor soul. Is she paying? Maybe she's watching CNN and she's waiting for that first child to get deported. But has she kept up? She paid attention to see who's getting kicked out of the country? Did she ever weep for Lake and Riley? Did she ever weep for Rachel Moran or Jocelyn Nungary? There's a child. She was 12 years old, Selena, when she was brutally raped, tortured, and murdered by illegal aliens who were let into the country by your guy, by Joe Biden. You were okay with that? Is Jose Ibarra, who murdered is that one of your people? Are these drug dealers and gangbangers? Are they trade name Dirac TDA? Are those your people, Selena? Who are your people? You're an American, and we're protecting Americans, American children, American women. The Biden administration lost track of 340,000 children. The Trump team is doing their best to find them. Did you cry for them? Did you cry for 300,000 lost kids, sex trafficked kids, kids who were raped, kids who drowned in the Rio Grande, kids who died in the back of a trailer truck? You cry for them? Or you cry for killers, gang members? This is just madness, what we're watching right now. This is something every decent American should applaud. Everyone should just say, I don't like Trump. I don't like whatever his tax policy. But God, this is a wonderful thing. This is fixing what Biden did. This is making communities safer. Tom Homan, of course, who's just doing God's work, just doing great. And he's explaining things. He's not backing down. He's not apologizing. He never will. He knows what he's doing is right. He talks often about how he went into the back of that trailer truck in Texas and held a dying 5-year-old child in his arm who was trapped in the truck being smuggled over the border. And he has to listen to people like Selena Gomez and Liz Warren and the rest of these loathsome people, these fools, talk about children, how it's harming children. Here's Holman responding to Selena Gomez.
I don't think we arrested any families. We've arrested public safety threats and national security threats, bottom line. And look, President Trump won the election on this one issue, securing our border and saving lives. What happened on our southern border last 4 years is the biggest national security threat this country's seen, at least in my lifetime, because we got over 2 million known gotaways. We got a 600% increase in sex trafficking. We got a record number of terrorists crossing the border on the terrorist watch list. We have 250,000 Americans dying from fentanyl coming across the open border. We're going to do this job, and we're going to enforce the laws of this country. If they don't like it, then go to Congress and change the law. We're going to do this operational apology. We're going to make our community safer. We're going to save. Once we lock that border on continuous operation, you're going to see fentanyl deaths decrease, illegal alien crime decrease, sex trafficking decrease. It's just all for the good of this nation, and we're going to keep going. No apologies. We're moving forward.
Oh, God, I love this man. Why is that so hard to understand? Why does Selena Gomez not understand that? Why does Caitlin Collins not understand that. Liz Warren, Stephen Colbert, why? Again, I know they're blinded by their hatred for Trump, but do they hate children? Do they hate innocent Georgia nursing students out for a jog? Why? Why does that slip past them? The victims, the real victims, the hundreds of thousands of victims of Biden's open border, and they can't see it. They can't comprehend it. Just incredible. Holman is making the media rounds. Somehow he still has time. He's out there with his guys. He's all over the place, but he still has time to make the rounds, and it's great. Again, I initially said, screw them. Don't even go talk to CNN. Don't go on MSNBC. But he is, and he's just so real. He's just such a real, normal guy, and he knows what he's doing is right. He knows he's protecting our country, and he knows these people are just broken. Here he is with Caitlin Collins, who wants to know, are you really going to go into schools? Again, why wouldn't cops, these are cops, go into a school if they knew there was a child molester in there? Why wouldn't every parent want Tom Homan's guys to go into a school if there's a drug dealer in there, or a hospital, or on a college campus? I think it's time to raid Columbia University, Harvard. I guarantee you he's going to find some people in there who overstayed their visa and are spending their days waving the Hamas flag and saying death to America. That's a good place to go. I think I highly recommend it, Tom Homan. But here's Caitlin Collins trying so hard to push the narrative. The children are going to be caught up in this. Children, the poor kids, just because the janitor is wanted for raping children, why should you go in there and get them? It's just incoherent. These people are making no sense, and it is great to watch. Here you go.
What does it take? What is the standard, I guess, to go into an elementary school? Because what we had heard from immigration advocates is that this is going to provide a chilling effect to parents in the school drop-off line or something of that matter.
It shouldn't be a chilling effect unless your child's a terrorist or a public safety threat. If they are a public safety threat, national security threat, they should be chilled. They should be afraid because we're looking for them.
Well, if the parent is here and they're an undocumented immigrant, I think was more of the argument that they were making.
They're not off the table either. I mean, they're in the country illegally, they got a problem. I mean, it's not okay. Look, it's not okay to enter this country illegally. It's a crime. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I wouldn't feel comfortable if I'm in Switzerland illegally. So we're going to enforce the laws of this country. So, the schools and the churches and central location was a policy only for ICE, only for immigration, right? But national security threats and public safety threats have no safe haven in this country, and we'll go where we got to go.
I've waited my whole life for this. I really have. I don't want to overstate it. I've waited for my whole life for Republicans, conservatives, people like this, people like Holman and Trump to just not back down, not give an inch. Do not indulge their silly narratives. What about the people in the drop-off line? What if one of them is a rapist? You idiot, Caitlin Collins. What if it's a murderer? That's who they're rounding up. Actual murderers. And she thinks, it might have a chilling effect for parents in the line. And Holman says, it should. If they're here illegally, if they're criminals, they should be chilled. That's the only answer. That is the way. They are just doing this right. No backing down, no apologies. The hell with these people. The hell with them. They have just lost their way. That could be the most glorious part of this beginning of Trump 2.0. The resistance, the dissent, the opposition has just completely melted down into utter incoherence. You can't pick up murderers if they hide in a church or a school. Since when? Since when has that been the policy of any law enforcement agency? It makes no sense. Just like Selena Gomez makes no sense. Just like Democrats in Congress, in the Senate, crying and whining about the price of eggs. 1 week, Trump hasn't lowered the price of eggs. I love this because it just shows how desperate and lost they are. We'll get to Lizzie and we'll get to CNN. They've decided to double down on Trump and Tom Homan. They're Nazis. Yes, they're the guy rounding up ISIS terrorists, hopefully Hamas supporters.
Nazi pig.
That guy, he's a Nazi. Yes, they actually went there. We will show you. And we got a primer from Catholic Charities. Yes, Catholic Charities who gets billions from the federal government. And what do they do with it? They try to help illegal aliens sneak into your country. It's time to stop this flow of money to all these NGOs, beginning with Catholic Charities. We'll tell you about that. And a big CNN star is out on his ass. We will celebrate that too. But first,
Excuse me.
ring in the new year with new rewards at Golden Nugget Online Casino. Right now, new players can play just $5 and get 250 casino spins on a featured game with promo code Newsmax. That's 250 chances to win on us after you play just $5 or more. Don't wait. The best rewards and the brightest moments are waiting at Golden Nugget Online Casino. Whether you're spinning slots, doubling down on blackjack, playing roulette, or any of our exclusive games you can't find anywhere else, make any moment golden with Golden Nugget Online Casino this year.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Please play responsibly. 21 and over. Physically present in Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia only. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Non-withdrawable casino spins valid for Jinshi, Baoshi, Endless Treasures only and expire in 168 hours. See terms at goldennuggetcasino.com/promos. Ends at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on February 23rd, 2025.
Well, they tried for 4 years, as we know, hell, for 8 years, 9 years, to paint Donald Trump as a Nazi. He was a fascist, authoritarian. It failed miserably. It blew up in their faces because it was so silly. Nobody believed it. Nobody bought it. It was just an insane strategy. And you would think they'd learn something from that. They got their asses handed to them on November 5th. It just backfired. Now what are they going to do? Well, they're going to double down. Yes, they're sticking with the Nazi. Those guys are Nazis. Yesterday on CNN and MSNBC, let's do Nicole Wallace because she might be the face of just the latest face of Trump and Musk derangement syndrome. Just an absolute lunatic, a broken woman who used to work for George Bush, George W., who was one of the big proponents of weapons of mass destruction. We had to go in there and get Saddam. You think she would hang her head in shame, just disappear. But no, she comes out and she's just every day dour and seething every time she sees Trump up on stage doing the Trump dance or laughing and smiling and having a good time. It just pushes her further toward total madness. And now she says, watching ICE, watching Tom Homan and Kristi Noem bust murderers and drug dealers and terrorists and rapists, it reminds her of Nazi Germany. Yes, this insane woman is sticking with this crazy, crazy strategy. Look at these guys. Just like ripping Anne Frank out of the attic when they bust, TDA gang members who murder people. Here you go.
Eddie, it stops you in your tracks to hear it put like that. They're going to have to own the idea that they have created a generation of kids who may have been born here, but who are afraid to go to school, who may be afraid to leave their parents. They may be afraid that every time they go to school, it's the last time they see their mom or dad. Families that are in hiding on this harrowing anniversary of Holocaust anniversary does have a really eerie echo to something that I think people thought, how could that happen? And that could never happen again. We are now on live TV talking about administration and live interviews with their faces showing that says proudly that schools are not off limits.
Right. I mean,
eerie echo on the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. He says it's an eerie echo to Nazi Germany because because we're getting illegal aliens the hell out of the country, which is what the vast majority of Americans want. They've learned nothing. They've learned nothing. This person is just out of her mind. Eerie echo to Nazi Germany. Yeah, that's just what Hitler did. Rounded up child molesters and drug dealers and murderers who were in the country illegally. We got that other Nicole Wallace cut. She's just, we can do this other CNN clip because CNN is reeling. Obviously, they got no viewers left, and they're laying off. They laid off something like 200 people. They laid off a big fish, and it was great. But we'll get to that. This Scott Jennings is going to save the network. If CNN survives, it'll be thanks to Scott Jennings, Republican from Kentucky, who just puts on a masterclass every night. He's on last night with this lunatic on this round table with Abby Phillip, and she is she's sticking with the Musk made a Zig Heil salute, and that appearance the other day, just an absurdity. As we've gone over, there's every single Democrat, you name it, Hillary and Kamala and Obama, they've all done the same thing. Tim Walz did it like every day, just put their arm up in the air. That wasn't a Nazi salute, but this was. And she wants to actually make the case that Musk is a Nazi. And Scott Jennings just tells her, lawyer up, because that is defamation. And it is. And Musk, as we know, he's got the resources. I would not be shocked if Musk takes Jennings' advice and sues this crazy woman. But watch this segment from last night on CNN.
Look, the first time that Elon Musk decides to declare that globalist Jews are responsible for the great replacement of brown people into the United States, maybe it was a misunderstanding. The second time he said that Jews are pushing hatred against white people, that's a quote. That was a little iffy. By the second Sieg Heil, I think he kind of loses the benefit of the doubt to be not accused of playing footsie with these Nazis. I'm not saying he's a Nazi. I'm saying the Nazis think he's a Nazi, which they very clearly did at this event. And these words were not said in a vacuum. As you pointed out, the leaders of AfD have embraced, in many cases, the Nazi heritage. They have wanted to take down the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin, saying it is inappropriate to recognize this horrific chapter in German history. And I just think it's horrific. I don't understand why this guy keeps getting the benefit of the doubt, whether or not he believes this stuff personally. You didn't even
mention the Nazi jokes he was making on Twitter. That actually got.
He's been given so many chances
about it.
Yeah.
I was hearing a lot of sighing, Scott. What's the deal?
I mean, we've moved on from Trump derangement syndrome to Elon derangement syndrome.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to defend his saying the Germans get to
Let me let him finish, Catherine.
I love this game we play where you talk for 2 minutes, I talk for 3 seconds,
ahead,
and you
Scott.
freak out. So he has a long record of supporting the Jewish people, number one. Number two, anybody who is asserting this thing he did on the stage the other day was a Sieg Heil, which I just heard you say, lawyer up maybe, because absolute ridiculous thing to say. Under no circumstances.
The Nazis in Germany thought it was a Sieg Heil.
Under no
Nazis in Germany thought it was a Sieg Heil.
Was he doing anything other than expressing enthusiastically?
Why don't you do it on TV right now?
His appreciation.
Why don't you do it on TV right now if you think it's so?
Number three.
Banal.
Number three. I think it is fully appropriate, and I, of course, have been the strongest supporter of the Jewish people on this network for over a year, since October the 7th.
Is that true?
To remember the Holocaust and to remember the atrocities committed against the Jewish people. And I also think it's appropriate to remember the atrocities committed against them right now. And it seems to me, let me just finish my point.
No,
I
won't let you change the subject.
It seems to me,
address what we're talking about.
I'm trying to finish my point.
As the Jew at this table,
I'm trying to finish my
point. I would
point.
say
the people who are most concerned about,
God.
and most all over Elon Musk today have had nary a word for the Nazis on college campuses who've gone crazy for the last year and a half.
That is bull. That is bull.
Nothing.
I am a Jew.
That they should just do this. Have this show. Have him on, all night, all day. Just leave him on. Bring in various other crazy liberals. But that is really a strategy 1 week in the Trump administration that Elon Musk is a Nazi, and he made a Sig Heil salute, which everybody knows is not true. She knows it. She knows it. She knows he's not a Nazi, but they're going to do their best. That's what they do. They come up with these phony hoaxes, and people are tired of it. No one's buying the hoaxes anymore. This is just the first hoax of Trump's second term. There'll be many, many more, and I think people are just going to laugh at this.
I like how CNN is floundering. They're losing money. Their ratings stink, and they're like, "Let's wheel this lady out."
Yeah, and she'll probably be back, and she'll probably be talking about Musk being a Nazi. No, Musk guy, the guy who visited Auschwitz with Ben Shapiro, who went to Israel to support Netanyahu. That guy, he's a Nazi. You go, girl. Stick with it. Great strategy. You need to stick with it. I like it. All right, we got to get to this Catholic Charities lady, and I do want to mention this because here you're wondering what your elected, if you're a Democrat, what your elected officials are doing, to oppose this Donald Trump wave, this blizzard of executive actions and executive orders. Here's NBC. Donald Trump vowed to slash grocery prices as soon as he took office, yet he's barely addressed the cost of food in a whirlwind of executive orders he signed in the first week. Senator Liz Warren and other Democrats wrote in a searing letter. The letter addressed to Trump accuses the president of backtracking on his campaign promise. During your campaign, you repeatedly promised you would lower food prices immediately, read the letter, but during your first week in office, you have instead focused on mass deportations and pardoning January 6th attackers. All right, it took, 10, 15 seconds to pardon the January 6ers, a great move. And mass deportations is the first thing he promised at every rally, every appearance, and he's doing it. He's getting these people out. He said he would, and he's doing it. And they want him to lower egg prices in week 1. And Liz Warren said he's too focused on renaming the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, that probably took, 10, 12, 15 seconds to say, we're renaming the Gulf of Mexico. He's just focused on that. So much focus. There is nothing more gratifying to me than watching these people just fade into irrelevance. She wrote a letter that Trump won't even read. That's the extent of the power of Liz Warren now. And she's just like that CNN lady. She's moving inexorably to madness because she's irrelevant. She can do nothing to stop this. She can kick and scream and tweet and send letters, but she can't stop what's coming, what's happening right now. And it's great to see. You are powerless, lady. You are irrelevant. You can do what you can, talk to your friends in the mainstream media. You can do interviews. You can write letters, but you have no power. You can affect nothing. Trump is going to ignore her, ignore them. Just pretend she doesn't exist, because in reality, she doesn't anymore. She doesn't matter. She's completely irrelevant and is wonderful to see. And by the way, she was dead set against this mass deportation. She was right there with all the other elected Democrats, vowing to protect the guy who murdered his wife in front of her 5-year-old kid in Massachusetts. She vowed to protect him. They were ready to set him free, and Liz Warren was okay with that. She was here to protect gang members, killers, rapists. That's what she said she would do. She's done her best. She has failed, and it's wonderful to see. Speaking of failing, I want to get to this Catholic Charities lady before we get to the CNN layoff, the big layoff. But this is coming. I'm pretty sure Trump's going to take action here. We're going to stop giving money. If you do a little bit of a deep dive into this, it is just the most maddening thing in the world. Your tax money and your contributions to the Catholic Church, if you make them, has gone for years to facilitate the invasion. It's gone to pay to help Jose Ibarra come across our border illegally. You've put them up in hotels. You've paid for his food and his phone. A guy who came here and murdered an innocent American. Catholic Charities is the biggest culprit. They get the most money, and they're down at the border. They're down at the Darien Gap helping these people get here and break our laws. That's what they're doing, and we're paying for it. I got some numbers here. Catholic Charities gets 2/3 of its money from the federal government. They get $500 million, and they use it to help people break our laws. Really bad people, criminals, killers. That's what they do. And when Tom Homan and Trump announced that they're coming for the bad guys, Catholic Charities put out a video to help explain how they can beat the system. Here's advice to illegal aliens on what you can do to avoid arrest and deportation. This is your tax money at work. Go ahead.
Hold on one second.
Oh, come on. There she is. There's the Catholic Charities attorney. Looks exactly like you'd expect. Another awful, affluent, white female telling illegal aliens how to come into our country and break our laws. We got her.
Hi, my name's Barb Graham, and I'm an attorney at Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Milwaukee in the Refugee and Immigration Services Program. This is a video about knowing your rights if Immigration and Customs Enforcement approaches you. All people living in the United States, including people who are undocumented, have certain rights under the United States Constitution. If immigration officers, what we sometimes call Immigration and Customs Enforcement or ICE, come to your workplace, they must have a valid search warrant or the consent of your employer to enter non-public areas. If you are undocumented and immigration officers come to your workplace, be aware of the following. First, do not panic and do not run away. If you are frightened and feel like you need to leave, you can calmly walk toward the exit. If you are stopped, you may ask if you are free to leave. If the officer says no, do not try to exit the building. If you are questioned, you may tell them you want to remain silent. 2, you have the right to remain silent. You do not need to speak to the immigration authorities or answer any questions. If you are asked where you were born or how you entered the United States, you may simply refuse to answer or remain silent. If you choose to remain silent, say so out loud. If they ask you to stand in a group according to your immigration status, you do not have to move, or you can move to an area that is not designated for any particular group. You may show a Know Your Rights card to an officer that explains that you will remain silent and you wish to speak to a lawyer. You may refuse to show identity documents and say what country you are from. Do not, though, show any false documents and do not lie. Third, you have the right to speak to a lawyer. If you are detained or taken into custody, you have the right to immediately contact a lawyer. Even if you do not have a lawyer, you may tell immigration officers that you want to speak to one. If you have a lawyer, you have the right to talk to them. If you have signed a form called a G-28, which shows that you have a lawyer, give it to the officer. If you do not have a lawyer, ask for an immigration officer for a list of pro bono lawyers.
Oh,
You also have the right to contact your consulate. The consulate may be able to assist you in locating a lawyer. You can refuse to sign any or all paperwork until you've had the opportunity to speak to a lawyer. If you choose to sign something without speaking to a lawyer, be sure you understand exactly what the document says and what the document means before you sign it.
Enough of her. You know what? It's bad enough. She's obnoxious enough. But then you realize we're paying for that. American taxpayers are paying for her and for all the other lawyers there to help illegal aliens break our law. That has to end. $500 million. Why hasn't Musk already eliminated this? Why? I mean, again, it's only been a week. I'm sure he will get to it, but that has to end now. End all our money going to these NGOs that have one goal. They're of one mind. How can we get as many illegal aliens into the country as possible? Does she care if they have a criminal record, if they have a gang tattoo on their neck. Of course she doesn't. That's not the goal. The goal is to get as many people in the country illegally as possible, and we're paying for it. One other thing, and I keep waiting for this. The NPR, PBS, when are they going to defund PBS? It's been a week, Donald. It's been a week, Elon. Time to defund PBS. They put out a list of executives at NPR. There's like a dozen of them who make more than $500,000. I've waited my whole life for this. Republicans have talked about this literally for my whole life, defunding NPR. It's time. It's time. It's time these people pay their own way. It's time they get real jobs. Why? I've yet to hear a coherent argument. Why are American taxpayers paying the bill for a far left media outlet? That it makes no sense. It started 50 years ago because they didn't think there were enough choices for children on TV. Well, those days are over. They're to the left of MSNBC, and that's fine. You want to go out there and be a commie, go nuts. Why are we paying for it? Why isn't Musk ended that already? It's time to end all funding for NPR and for Catholic charities. All right, we got to get to this big CNN layoff. And Donald Trump made a move this morning, which is just great. It is just great. He's ordering the state of California to get water to the people of LA. Again, common sense. Anyone have a problem with this? Anyone against this? You get water if you're in Los Angeles, thanks to President Trump. Yes, that happened just now, just this morning. We'll tell you more about that. And we'll get to the big layoff at CNN, which is just great. But first,
excuse me.
So how are the New Year's resolutions coming? We all make them, some of us stick with them. Some of us don't. You want to lose weight, get in shape, get your finances in order. I promise to read more books. I'm trying. Each new year is an opportunity to reflect and plan for the future, like setting career goals, making financial moves, and most importantly, ensuring your family is always taken care of no matter what happens. Make this the year you check the life insurance box off your list and protect your family's future with Policy Genius. Policy Genius makes finding and buying life insurance simple, so you can ensure your loved ones have a financial safety net to cover debts and routine expenses, or even to invest the money to earn interest over time. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options are 100% online and let you avoid unnecessary medical exams. Do you know 40% of people wish they got life insurance at a younger age? Compare quotes from America's top insurers side by side for free with no hidden fees. The licensed support team helps you get what you need fast so you can get on with your life. They answer questions, handle paperwork, and advocate for you throughout the process. Life insurance is a form of financial planning. Secure your family's future tomorrow so you have peace of mind today. Head to policygenius.com to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com. As we know, the left-wing media outlets are struggling. It is a bloodbath at these places. They're after the election, people just found no reason to go there. Our friend Rob Finnety's killing them every night. Lots of Rob Schmidt, Greg Kelly. They're beating CNN, even though they're in far fewer homes. The CNN brand is just damaged. As the Daily Beast reported the other day, CNN will lay off hundreds of employees, capping a year of financial struggles and failing ratings as the network seeks to pivot toward a digital future. Okay. Yeah, remember CNN Plus or whatever that was, which was supposedly going to be led by Chris Wallace. How'd that work out?
That lasted, a week maybe?
It did. Literally, it was like a couple of weeks and they were done. Their CNN website launched a $3.99 paywall months after laying off 100 employees. They don't know what to do. Their numbers are in free fall, and they are shuffling the chairs on the Titanic here. Jim Acosta, the face of CNN, the bloated face of CNN, was reassigned the midnight shift, midnight to 2 a.m. And apparently he was upset and he said no and left the network. So he's calling it, resigning the network. But, they wanted him to quit. They forced him to quit and he quit. And we're going to miss him. I was kind of hoping Jim Acosta would return to the White House press room. Carolyn Levitt is going to do her first press conference today at 1 p.m. That should be good. She's a fighter. She knows her job. It's going to be to take on these Democrat operatives with press passes in the press room. We will be watching that today at 1 o'clock and rooting for Carolyn, but she will not have Jim Acosta to kick around. Nobody will. He's gone. He should have taken the midnight shift. I mean, that'd be a chance. There's not much else on. You'd get some people watching. You get some of the crazy Trump haters to watch, but no, he's going to go somewhere else. He's going to, I'm going to guess he's going to start a podcast like Don Lemon. It'll fail miserably, or he'll go to Harvard. That's always a good landing spot for crazy Trump haters. But we're not sure where Jim Acosta is going to go, but he is gone from CNN and apparently not going to return to the White House press room, which, there's a lot of highlights for Jim Acosta's days of doing battle with Donald Trump. But there were some great moments when Trump just dressed him down, when they tried to take the microphone away from him and he wouldn't give it up. That was life in the D.C. press corps during Trump. Of course, they took the next 4 years off. They participated in the cover-up of the cognitive state of the president, the de facto president, for 4 years. Now they're going back to work, now that Trump's back. Here's Donald Trump with Jim Acosta just a few years ago when Acosta was riding high. Once again, if Trump has an enemies list, he probably does, at least in his mind. Cross another one off the death list. Jim Acosta is done. Here he was in his glory days.
On the Russia investigation, are you concerned that you may have?
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation? Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts.
Well, I'm not a big fan of yours either. So
I understand. Question, if I can. You repeatedly said
you are the best,
Mr. President. You repeatedly over the course of
just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead,
Mr.
Yes, he is. He was. He's out now. I was listening to Matt Taibbi yesterday with Tucker Carlson, and he said this should be the golden era for investigative journalism. There's so many scandals, so many cover-ups. There's so much going on, and it's not. As I say all the time, these reporters, quote unquote, should be thrilled. They have the most accessible, transparent president ever, who never slows down, never stops. There's breaking news literally every hour, and yet they're miserable because they hate him, because they're not reporters, because they're Democrat activists. Jim Acosta, Peter Alexander, these are Democrat operatives. They don't care that there's a lot of stuff out there right now that they could be reporting on, a lot of stories. Hell, they could do the deep dive into who covered up Joe Biden's mental state. They could do the deep dive into why Joe Biden pardoned his family members. Kind of a big story, wouldn't you say? But they don't care. They're not interested. They just want to stop Trump. That's all they care about. And the beauty of it is Trump fully understands that now. He understands that these aren't journalists, that they aren't interested in journalism. Caitlin Collins, Nicole Wallace, they don't care about big breaking stories unless they hurt Trump. As somebody pointed out, when there's a When there's a Democrat in the White House, their job is to find the people who benefit from the Democrat policies. When there's a Republican in the White House, particularly Trump, their job is to find the victims of the president's policies. And that's all they're doing right now. Find the victims. Find the Capitol Hill cops who were assaulted. Find the abuela. Find the maid. Find the child whose parents, whose father might get deported. That's their goal. Not to find the killer, not to find the drug dealer who's being deported. No, let's not look at them. Let's just put them aside and look for the victims of Trump's policies. That's their goal. That's their job. And speaking of victims, here's Donald Trump this morning. And this could be the greatest example of Trump, the pragmatist, Trump, the common sense guy. He went to California, and they're still talking about, we'll be talking for years about these wildfires and the devastation. And we can never lose sight of the real culprit. It is, to me, it's obviously the governor and the mayor and the policies, the crazy environmental policies that didn't allow them to clear the brush or fill the reservoir or collect the water. And Trump just went out there and said, you need water. You don't have water. It could be the ultimate common sense response from Donald Trump, the common sense president. Here he is posting on True Social this morning. You got that for me? The United States military just entered the great state of California and under emergency powers turned on the water flowing abundantly from the Pacific Northwest and beyond. The days of putting fake environmental argument over the people are over. Enjoy the water, California. Now, this is 2-3 weeks too late, obviously, for the homeowners in Pacific Palisades and Altadena, but he's right. They put crazy, again, this doesn't get enough attention. Environmentalists wouldn't allow them, or I should say, politicians who bowed to environmental lunatics wouldn't allow them to clear the brush, wouldn't allow them to deliver the water, wouldn't allow them to bring the water from the north to the south, wouldn't allow them to have common sense fire prevention policies in place before this fire. Hell, they wouldn't allow them to build desalinization plants. This is the fault of Newsom, Bass, and all the crazy left-wingers who bowed to these environmental nuts. And Trump just ended it. Sent in the military to make sure the fire department had water. This is going to be the biggest factor in turning. I'm not sure they're going to turn California red, but they're going to turn it a nice shade of purple, because I can't imagine anybody would ever support Gavin Newsom or Karen Bass or any of the crazies in the California state legislature who spent $50 million to Trump-proof the state. While the fires were still burning, their goal was to Trump-proof the state. In other words, to protect illegal alien criminals from deportation. All right, before we go, good luck to Mayor Wu and Brandon Johnson. They're on their way to D.C. to appear before Congress and explain why they have protected illegal aliens for so long, why they did this to their communities. They're not bringing you there to talk about racial justice or electric school buses or climate change. They're there to ask you why you didn't protect your citizens, and it's going to be great. I don't think any of them, least of all Mayor Wu, is ready for what's coming, and it's going to be great. And the RFK hearings are coming, and they're going to be great too. Can't wait for that. But that will do it for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you. Thank you
Wow.
all. Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many thank yous.